And we'll make sure you get a copy of the recording in case you want to watch it tomorrow. But with that, I'm going to turn this over to Emma.
Good morning, everyone. So if I say your site and name, can you just let me know that you're here? Take yourself off mute. So Banner Marsh, Steve Schaefer. Braidwood Lake, Eric Fredrickson. Bussy Woods Reservoir, Steve Sillett.
Here.
Bussy Woods Reservoir, South Pool, Art Ostro.
We're here.
Channel Lakes North, Jason Penuel. Channel Lakes South, Nate Wright. Hidden Lake, Bill Appleby. Coffeen Lake, Gene Cayley.
Here.
Des Plaines River, Big Basin Marina, Jim Corcoran. Evergreen, Terry Brown.
Emma.
Hideki Lake, sorry. Hillary Holden.
Here.
Emma, I think you cut out a little bit when you said Clinton Lake, but this is Jason Doty. I'm here for Clinton Lake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kincaid Lake, Brett Dial.
Yes, I'm here.
You're good.
Lake Bloomington, Tim Bennett, Doug Larson.
Doug Larson here.
Lake Jacksonville, Colin Artholany and Kim Webster. Lake McMaster, Jeff Kratzer.
Tate Senate here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, they're here.
Lake of Egypt, Paula Allen.
Here.
There.
Lake Shelbyville, David Doty. Mississippi River, Pool 13, Mark Nardini.
That's wild.
I'm here.
Yeah, you can say.
Newton Lake, Jeff.
This is as loud as I can't hear when you guys talk.
Here.
Pierce Lake, Pete Robertson. Lynn Lake, Jeremy Richardson.
Here.
St. Chris Lake, Carrie Trueblood. Shabona Lake, Joseph Large.
Here.
And then Skokie Lagoons, Jim Phillips.
Here.
All right. Thanks, Emma, and thanks, everybody. You guys are still seeing my screen, right? All right, good deal. Okay. So we appreciate everybody's help. And as I was saying to Emma, while we do have a few new managers and maybe a site or two that's new this year, we do have a lot of folks who are very experienced in what's going on. And so today's really going to be about going over some review things. And we'll make sure that people get a copy of this when all is said and done. Appears that I lost my PowerPoint there. Nope, that's not the guy that I want. This is an esports. Sorry about that. Oh. Goodness gracious. Oh, there you are. Yeah, I just want you to open. Are you guys seeing? You guys? Oh, there we go. Are you guys? You guys aren't seeing this, are you?
We're seeing IHSA.
Yeah, I got to replace. Darn it. There we go. All right.
There.
So we know that the sectional tournaments will be on Thursday, May 5th, and we've got our rain date of May 9th. All of that has been secured. So here are some things to look for in the next couple of weeks from our office. First, and I think Emma's been coordinating this and working with all of you. We're putting the final touches on the sectional information sheet. And as a reminder, that's the document each of you will send to the schools in your sectional that outlines specifics for the day, from schedule to any boating restrictions, you name it. That document is going to be tailored for your event. For those of you that have gotten the thumbnail version of that back to Emma, thank you. Like I said, we put those together. You'll be receiving a final copy from us soon. Those of you that haven't, if you can get those to us as soon as possible, we'd appreciate it. Our plan is to get those sent to you electronically before Easter. So Easter's next week. So my guess is a week from today, maybe a week from tomorrow at the latest, Emma will be emailing you your sectional information sheet and another document that will list coaches' contact information for the schools in your sectional. So then once you get that, you can prepare an email and send out that sectional information sheet along with any other information at that time that you want people to be aware of. I don't think we'll have any problems getting a coach and a contact for every school, but on the off chance that we do fall short of having a school tell us who their coach is, you may be in a spot where you've got to send that to a school administrator and let that individual forward it on to the coach. But so far, we haven't run into any issues finding the coaches, so I don't expect that to be a problem, but just in case, we'll cover that now. We will also be sending you, but this will be in a different email closer to the event, the permit that we've already had provided to us from DNR. And then you'll be able to have that on file. You shouldn't have to pass that on, but in case the lake wants it, you'll have a copy of it that you can provide to them. If you need a certificate of insurance, that will come from us. Again, that's not going to be in next week's email, but that will come from us in advance of the event. Then I'll pause here because in the past, we've sent to each site, in some years, we've sent to each site a banner that we've asked folks to display at the weigh-in and or launch area, sort of spruce up the event, whatnot. Does anybody by any chance still have their banner? And I'll pause here just for you new managers. Obviously, you don't know what necessarily what we're talking about, but for anybody that's worked in the past, does anybody still have their banner?
I think I might have mine, Kurt.
Okay.
I'll double check.
Joe. That's fine. I'm asking because we're a little short on some. And so we're like, maybe we forgot to get them all back in another year. But I would just say if it turns out you've got a banner, just let me know. And then we won't duplicate, obviously, because I think we can hopefully have enough to get everybody a banner. And like I said, just have a little IHSA branding at the event. When that comes from us, and we'll look to send those out the week after Easter, so the week of the 18th to the 22nd, that would be an actual mailing where we would send those to you. And inside of that, we will have a few things. We'll have a hard copy of state final qualifier documents that we'd ask you to share with the 3 qualifying boats and the alternate boat from your sectional. And we'll include in there the information you'll need as a manager to go into the IHSA website and submit results from the day. We'll have a self-addressed return mailing label in there. And so all you got to do is hang on to the box that the banner would come in, slide the old banner back in, slap the new label, and get it back to us. When those get sent out, we will send you an email saying, these banners have left our office. So be on the lookout for them. Let people at your school know so when they arrive, they can make sure they get to where they should go. Those will be some things that we're looking to do in the next 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to email you your sectional information sheet. Week after that, a mailing, a hard mailing with information that will be distributed and possibly hung up. And then finally, just so you know, we'll be in touch with DNR, letting them know your contact information so that whether it's people from the Corps, whether it's other DNR agents, whether it's a biologist, if there's somebody that's going to be able to assist with boat checks, they know how to get a hold of you so they can be where you need them at the appointed day and time.
Can I ask a question?
You sure can. I should have said if we have any
Um,
questions, jump in and ask them.
Yeah, on the DNR I'm on a private lake because Lake Jacksonville is not a state lake. Do I need to get DNR in there to do boat checks, or can we just do our own boat checks?
There will be some instances where people are doing like your team, Kim, will do the boat checks for everybody. We can try
Okay,
to get
so I
somebody
don't,
though from DNR. You don't have to do that, but we're going to let them know your contact and try to get somebody connected with you.
yeah, because I've already talked to the site managers and stuff, and I think I could tell, I'm capable of getting somebody to do it, but I didn't know if it was a state requirement I needed to get DNR in there to do it. And
It
I
is.
could do that. That's not, but I just wanted to make sure I had my bases covered, that I was doing it the
Okay.
right way.
It's not a requirement. If you can do it, great, but it's not a state requirement.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay. That's what I needed to know. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Then some things that you might be working on already as we think about pre-tournament checkoff lists. We would remind and ask you to review the manager's manual. I know many of you are old hats at this, and there really aren't many, if any, changes from previous years, but it's always good just to refamiliarize yourselves with things. Probably the biggest thing when you begin communicating with schools in your sectional is to remind them about making sure the boat rosters have the principal's signature on them. Remind people of that. And also make sure it's probably a good habit to remind the coaches that a student can only be listed on one boat roster during the tournament. A student can't be listed as like sort of a top angler or whatever on one and an alternate on the other. They're only allowed to be on one team roster. And probably in that first mailing when you're sending out the sectional information sheet to them, a reminder of, getting that completed so they can bring it. And some folks, you might want to even consider having the schools send you their rosters the week of the tournament. The latest they can turn them in is that Thursday, but
That
if you
day,
want it
yeah.
the Monday or Tuesday of that week, sort of create a deadline and have schools submit it. Just know that when they fail to do that, they can still turn it in on the day of. But I think you'll find if you want to have that deadline of Monday or Tuesday before the sectional, many schools will comply with that.
Okay.
You want to be thinking about appointing a tournament committee in case there are any situations that arise that need to be addressed by the committee. If somebody violates the terms and conditions and does something that's outside the scope of what the rules would allow, and there's an appeal, you'll need to have a committee of coaches come together to discuss and come up with a final outcome for that. Certainly, if you've got a committee and one of those individuals' schools is involved, that person would recuse him or herself. But generally what I recommend to folks is who the commonsensical people are in your area, the ones who've got a good head on their shoulders. And that's not to say that everybody doesn't, but who the kinds of people are that have the experience to help navigate those situations that might arise. And we've been fortunate that there haven't been a lot of those over the years, but begin to think about who you'll have on your committee and let them know in advance. You want to make sure that if there's any kind of concern at your site that you think I need to know about, you get in touch with me. I'll be happy to work through whatever problem that is. And for those of you that are new, you're going to want to develop an emergency evacuation plan in the event weather rears its ugly head, which could mean having a way to communicate with folks. You're going to make sure that you've got everybody's cell numbers so that if you do need to clear the lake or you do need to get a hold of somebody, you've got a way to do that. And you'll need to have a plan to make sure people know where to report if you do have to clear the lake, so you can account for everyone. We've been very blessed over the years to, to not have had some serious situations occur because of the work that you as managers have done in having a coordinated plan. And as we talk about at the state tournament, you're tracking weather. There's all kinds of ways to do that nowadays. And sometimes you've got to make a weather call when it seems nice out. But you can tell something's coming and you need to give people time to get off the water so they're not in any kind of a hazardous situation. And I always like to mention here, since we're talking about the day of the tournament, as a reminder, the terms and conditions say that the tournament, you're going to set the starting time and the end time. The most amount of time that can be fished in a day is 8 hours. This is all in the terms and conditions. The minimum amount to have a tournament is 5 hours. So somebody could say, hey, we're going to fish from 7 to noon. People don't. They go for the longest time, which is great. But the shortest amount of time to make a tournament in our terms and conditions is 5 hours. So the tournament in our terms and conditions says it's official if half the minimum amount of time is fished. So translated, that means if you start out fishing and you fish for 2.5 hours, you've got a completed tournament based on the terms and conditions that have been established. It's always good to remind coaches of that before you go out, especially if the weather looks like it could be challenging. Because inevitably, when you only get to fish for 3 or 4 hours and you've got to call it, and then you do a weigh-in, somebody's left saying, hey, we didn't fish for 5 hours or whatever you said. The terms and conditions would say if we fish for 2.5 hours, we've got a day of fishing, and we're going to go with those results. So also on the day of, you'll want to make sure that at your coaches meeting that you've got, you announce what there could be in terms of not only your emergency plan, but if there are going to be any off limits areas, you're going to know whether that's necessary or not at your site. You're going to talk about if there are any restrictions on, how fast you can go, or if there's just any other thing that coaches would need to know. You'd want to make sure that you've talked to coaches about how, where, when they can make substitutions during the day. And then just as a reminder, with your tournament committee, if somebody is going to appeal anything, it needs to be done in writing. It needs to be in your hands by the end of the weigh-ins. If somebody comes to you later, it's too late at that point to do anything about it. And there is an appeals form in the manual, so I always encourage folks to have a few copies of those on hand just in case somebody does have a situation occur that they want to bring to your attention. Once the tournament's over, and you've completed the weigh-ins and distributed the awards, make sure, and we will also make sure when those get sent to you that we communicate through email. So for our new managers, that's usually what happens. When we're going to send something out or we're going to do a mailing, we're going to email you to say, hey, be on the lookout for whatever. So you've got at least some advance notice of that. But again, you'll have the awards. You can distribute those. A year ago, we were doing that in a non-contact way, but we don't have that worry this year. And in fact, I should have mentioned any mitigations or restrictions that were in place a year ago, unless something changes in society with the virus, there are none of those in place. We're a sort of full go as we had been in the past. But you'll be able to then post the results online. You will have already received the IDs and passwords. And then the one thing we do, because we're trying to track the overall amount of participation across the state, we do ask that you send back to us when you return the banner, the boat rosters. Sometimes people scan them and email them to us. That's fine. As long as we get a copy of those, that's really what we're after. If you want to send us the hard copies, great. If you want to scan and shoot Emma or I an email, that works as well. but it helps us keep track of how many boats are at each lake. I think many of you have been around long enough to know and have heard that one of the topics the advisory committee is discussing is we've grown, the bass fishing has grown so much that we've really reached a point, it feels like we need to add a regional round to the state series. And we're hopeful we can get that accomplished perhaps as soon as next school year, and having a real good record of how many boats have been participating will help us strengthen our case to make that occur. And then finally, and then I'll take whatever questions folks have. One of the things we learned last year and figured out, maybe more by hook than crook, was streaming the weigh-ins. That's not a requirement this year, but certainly people enjoyed being able to see those. You know, for many people, that was like the first time they've really experienced a fishing competition was through the streamed weigh-ins that each of our sites was able to produce. And if you're able to pull that off this year, great. There are some instructions here on what we think is the easiest way to make that happen. Maybe you've got an angler who's not going to be fishing that day that'd be willing to be on site. It can be done as low tech as with the person's phone. So we would just ask you, if you do that, let the schools know first and foremost, so that if there are people in their communities that want to watch, they can do so. And then if you let me know who's going to be doing it, and as you can see there, if they're going to do it, the person's going to do it through Twitter. I just need to know basically what their handle is. If they're going to do it on Facebook Live, then if you let us know who that person is, we can become friends with them and then push that out so folks can watch as well. It was fun. If you can pull it off, great. If not, we're not going to stress out about it. But try to push yourselves and see if you can make it happen. Be bold. All right, I'm going to be quiet now and see what questions any of you folks might have for Emma and or I.
It's Jeremy from Rend Lake, if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Jeremy. Yeah.
Only question I had one person contact me. You guys haven't made any changes to only allowing 2 boats per school this year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, as always, we are available anytime, 24/7. I think you folks all have my email address. I'll make sure. So tomorrow, here's what's going to happen. All of you will receive an email from Emma with a recap of today's meeting. It will contain a link to this presentation, and I will have her include my cell phone number for those of you that maybe don't have it, so that you can get a hold of me, whether it's through email, calling, text. If you've got a question, I want to help you answer it and resolve whatever that situation is. So you'll have hopefully no problem ever getting a hold of me if you need to. So be on the lookout for that. Then next week, we'll get you your sectional information sheet, and you can begin distributing that to the schools in your sectional. When we send the sectional information sheet, as I mentioned, we'll include a list of the schools, the coaches, and their contact information, so you can get those to the coaches as quickly as possible. We again want to thank everybody. We hope everybody has a great holiday. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that Thursday, May 5th is the nicest day of the spring, right?
Be great.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Hey, Kurt, I had something for you if you want to stay on after Rails logs off.
I sure can. Yep.
Thank you.